Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for choosing your time to spend with me and watch this video. Today we will make little composition book holder, little office organizer. This one is a little bit bigger and I must tell you that this is probably one of my favorites. So we do have little file folder. We have little sticky notes, little flags. We do have little envelope. Maybe you want to put your small scissors, something small in here. On this side we do have double packet. So here is one and here is another. We will cover the composition book, which is removable, and with little holder for your pen or pencil. To make this project, we will need chipboard, and this is heavyweight chipboard. We will need two pieces, 10.5 by 1.25. We will need one piece 10.5 by 3. We will need one piece 10.5 by 7. And we will need two pieces 10.5 by 8.5. To make this piece, I will use the Mariposa Stack collection. I absolutely love this one. I think this is the second or third one that I bought for my projects. I absolutely love all of the designs in this collection. It's really nice. I used up some of the paper from this collection already. This is the one that we will use. I will also use the 12 by 12 smooth cardstock that I purchased from Walmart. I will use the black color just to wrap the entire cover. So we will use this one. So to wrap the cover, I do have the cardstock 12 by 12. This one is actually just a little bit wider than 12 because of this perforation mark. It's actually not perforation, it's just that it has that lighter mark, but I will use this anyway because that mark does not appear on the opposite side. So I will use this mark actually to glue both pieces together, and that will be my guide. So I will glue it just like that. And now the way we're going to position our chipboard, we will put 10.5 by 8.5. Then we will place 10.5 by 1.25. Then we will place 10.5 by 8.5. And as you can see, our piece where we joined together, it's more than 1 inch from the edge of the chipboard, which to me it is acceptable. Then we're gonna position 10.5 piece by 1.25, and the last piece 10.5 by 3. So now we will glue these pieces just like I laid them out. Okay, so let's glue the first one. Just like that. And now I will glue rest of these pieces just the way they are laid out in here, leaving 1/8 of an inch space in between the chipboard. So let me glue this and I will be right back. Okay, so I have all of my pieces glued. So now we need to score all the way around on all 4 sides. Just like that. We will pre-fold our cardstock. And now I will run the spatula right against the edge of the chipboard to create this really nice edge. And I believe that this is the part that really will make this piece look very, very professionally made. And it's just sometimes those, I believe, those small little touches are just making such a huge difference in the quality of the product you are making. So now we will miter the corners and we will make small angle just like that, and we will leave a little bit of paper or cardstock right here, just about the thickness of the chipboard. So don't cut too close to the chipboard because you don't want to see the chipboard after you glue all those pieces together. And we got one more right here, just like that. So now we will glue all of the cardstock all around. We will glue it to the chipboard. And this is really long piece, so just take your time. Make sure that the glue adheres. Just like that. Let's do the longer sides first. Okay. As you can see, now I put a little bit too much glue, but at least I know that it will be stuck. Okay. So now we're gonna do the sides. Okay. And one more side. Alright, so now we will just work I'm not pushing too hard. I'm just trying to make that little indentation in a cardstock right in between the chipboard. And we're gonna do this on the bottom and on the top. So I'm not pushing too hard. And if your spatula is too sharp, you don't want to cut the cardstock. So the spatula shouldn't be really sharp when you do this. Or maybe you can take your bone folder and kind of work it this way. You will have the same effect. So now our cover is wrapped. So now I will pre-cut the pieces to cover the front. Okay, so I pre-cut my paper and I will use this for the front of the cover. I will use this one for the back. Both pieces are 10 1/4 by 8 1/4. And I also cut two pieces 10 1/4 long by 1 inch wide, and that's going to be to cover the spine on the outside. So if I fold this just the way it will be done as a complete project, I will glue this one on the front page just like that. Those narrow pieces will be in here on the spine on both sides, and this one will be on the back just like that. So I will cut one more piece for this. Okay, so if this is the front and we close it, I will apply this one on the flap. So if I open this up and get this ready for gluing, you want the front to be on your right hand side, just like that, just so you don't lose the orientation of your cover. And now we can glue all these pieces. So I'm gonna glue the front first, just like that. When you position the paper, try to line it up so you have approximately 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So let's make sure that this is stuck. Alright, so now we're gonna glue the spine. To glue the spine, pay attention to where those two bends are, because we're gonna position this right on the middle, just like that. Okay, and then I'm trying to line up the bottom and the top to be even with the front. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be close enough. So here is our spine. So I will now glue the back. Then I will glue another spine, and then the flap, just like that. So I'm gonna glue this and I will be right back. Okay, so I glued all my pieces. So now if I try to format this as if everything would be finished, this would be my front, here are the two sides, and here is the back, just like that. So now we will be cutting paper. Well, before we cut the paper, we need to cut cardstock to cover the spaces in between the chipboard. So let's do that next. So we need to cut our cardstock. The height will be 10 inches. And now we will need to cut 2 pieces, 1.5 inch wide. And we will cut 1 piece 4.5 inches wide. The 4.5 piece, 4.5 inches, we will score at 2 1/4. We will score at 1 3/4. And we will score at 2 3/4. So now we will fold this piece in half and then to the outside, turn around and to the outside again. So what you want to do, you want to create this almost like an M shape. So now we need to glue this indentation in here. We need to glue it together. Just like that, we can fold in half. Let's make sure that this is all stuck. Like this. And you might want to give it a minute or two to dry. So we're going to put this on the side and we will start covering right here both those spaces. So let's apply the glue and try to position approximately in a half of this chipboard right here, and then pay attention to the top and the bottom. It should be just about equal space in between this cardstock and the end of your folder. The same thing on the bottom. So let's make sure that this is stuck. And we do the same thing to the second piece. Now this second piece, you position really close to this piece. You can leave it little space, but really not much, just the hair. Just like that. And now this piece should be dry. So you see, this is what we have. And this is how we're gonna glue this. So basically this part right here, that's gonna be our additional page. So we're gonna glue this with this. We're gonna position on the middle of this chipboard. And you can get pretty good guide by the scores we have right here. So I'm gonna apply the glue and I will try to position on the middle, and then I'm looking also at the bottom because I want this distance to be just about the same as the one on the bottom. So let's make sure this is all stuck. And I don't worry too much about this glue. Yes, I will wipe it out, but this glue dries clear, so when it dries you won't be able to see it. want to make sure everything adheres. And I will leave this just like that for a minute or two, just to make sure that this glue adheres before we will start scoring in between the pages and the spine. Okay, so this dried already, so now we can work on scoring the sides. And run your spatula across. Take your time, be patient, don't push it too hard. You don't wanna cut this paper. So as I'm pushing this down, and you can see that the fold is created already, I'm just picking up this side a little bit and trying to score this groove. And we will do the same thing on this side. So just work it to make that really nice indentation, just like that. And here is the last one. So basically we are training this paper to kind of fold and move inside that groove, just like that. So now we have our folder outside. So now we're gonna cut paper for the inside. So for the inside, I will use this paper from the same collection, and we will cut two, 10 1/4 by 8 1/4. One more piece, 10 1/4 by 8 1/4. Now we will need one piece, 10 1/4 by 2 3/4. And we will need two pieces, 10 1/4 by 1/2 inch. That's one. And two. So now the way we will glue this is the large piece, this is the 2 3/4. We got 2 1/2 inch pieces, and we're gonna need one piece, 1 inch, and I have one right here. I just make sure this is 10 1/4. It is. So we will glue it just like that. And I will glue all these pieces. So for you to pay attention is 1/8 of an inch on both sides from the top and the bottom, and try to keep the same distance in between one paper and the other, just like that. Okay, so I got all the pieces glued. So now we will work on this page right here. So to work on this page, we will use the sheet that we pre-cut to 10 1/2 by 7. And I will wrap this sheet just because I want this sheet to look like it belongs with this whole entire piece, which means I want the same color to be around that page, just the way you can see this color peeking from underneath the paper. So to wrap this, this is 12-inch sheet. I will, well, maybe before I cut it, let me just apply glue and maybe glue this to the cardstock, just like that. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do, I will leave only 1/2 inch on this side. So let me cut this paper. And now we will score, but we will score only on 3 sides. We will not score on a side where we left 1/2 inch. Well, we can score it, but we're not gonna wrap this side. So what we're gonna do in here is, you see this corner in here, we're gonna cut it straight with the chipboard, and we're gonna cut straight this way, and we're gonna do this on both sides. So your paper should look just like this, and this side we will not fold and we will not glue. So let's just fold those 3 sides. We take our spatula, run around all of the edges the way we normally do. And now we will miter these corners. I'm leaving a little bit of the cardstock right here by the corner, and I am not cutting such a huge angles, just a little angle, because I don't want to see any chipboard from underneath. And now we're gonna glue 3 sides only. So here's one side, second side, and third side. Okay, just like that. And this side we are leaving alone just the way it is. So now we need to cut another cardstock, and the dimensions are gonna be from the edge to the end 7.5 by 10 inches, a little bit shorter, maybe 1/16 shorter. So 7.5 by, so this is actually not 10.5, this is 10 by 7, the chipboard. Okay, 7.5 by 10. So 7.5, and we said 10 inches, but maybe 1/16 shy of 10 inches. So now we're gonna glue this piece to the top, but we're gonna apply the glue on a chipboard. You don't want to have any glue in here. So I will apply glue around. And as you can see, I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm leaving a little bit space. Just like that. And now, when I position this paper, I'm trying to position just about the entire piece. So there is less than 1/8 of an inch right around on the edges. And the reason why I'm doing this, because when we apply decorative paper on the top of this, you're gonna have very similar look to whatever you have happening on the inside. So now I'm gonna cut decorative paper, but before I do that, let's run and score right here against that chipboard. And don't push it too hard, because you don't wanna break the paper. And this doesn't bother me as long as it's not broken on this side. So we will just lightly score, just so we can bend this to the opposite side, just like that. And now you can measure. This is 7 inches, so we're gonna cut 6 3/4, and this is 10 inches, so 9 3/4. So we need 6 3/4 by 9 3/4, and one more piece, 9 3/4 by 6 3/4. So now we take our piece and we will glue the paper on both sides with 1/8 of an inch trim around that, and we will glue it on both sides, paper just like that. So let me glue this and I will show you how this looks like, and we will proceed with the project. Okay, so I glued the front and the back, and now you see that when we place this page, everything looks just the way it should, as if it belongs in here. This is gonna give you this beautiful finish. So now we will glue this into this little flap. And the way we're gonna do this is, I'm gonna apply a little bit of glue right on this flap, but not all the way to the end, just a little strip. So when we glue it, I want to make sure that there is approximately 1/8 of an inch space in between that little flap and the fold over cardstock. So we will glue it just like that. And then I'm gonna apply little glue on this side, and just fold over and glue this just like this. Now before we start moving this page and doing anything with that, allow this to dry maybe for a minute or two, because you don't want to disturb this glue.